Without an audience.
Welcome to the bonus chapter. Well, it's not a chapter of Zelda vs. Terminator, but it's Jack Russell, so it's kind of like that.
Truly, I have become Cyberpunk 2077.
I'm joined today by my three friends who are nameless and wish they won't introduce themselves.
Hello.
Okay.
Really?
So, we've got Cyberpunk 2077, The Machine War. I'm going to read that little flavor text for you. The cyberpunk age had come about at last. But is it a good thing or a bad thing? What will the mean for humanity? Now, this is 5,000 words, but from what I can tell, this is a one-off series, or at least it might be, so there will not be a part 2 if there is. We're just doing this in one go. Okay, this is what really set us off and made us want to do this. Oh, Thier's nuts. I tried polying Cyberpunk onto PS3, but it just crashed game in the most horrifying way and to sound it makes. So I got refund. And so I made fanfic about what I think the game would be like if it woked and or was finched. So he's just admitting right off the bat, I didn't play this game for more than like a few minutes, so this is what I think happens. He's not gonna look it up. He's not gonna like watch a Let's Play. He's just, no, this is what happened.
He was mad at CD Projekt Red. He was mad at his PS3.
He was mad at Sony. The year was 2076. And already a great sign. And mankind had finally advanced to the cyberpunk age. It took many resources and time, but mankind had finally done it. But while mankind was exploring the new units and buildings that could be built there, is an other storied that we will look at. Hope you're following this so far. I'm forgetting to screen share. It was a day like any over day, except it was not. And I sat at my desk swigging whiskey like Pac-Man eating pills. I was looking at the paper another postulate mudron in a sting of horrific killings. What else is new? I snited. If you're wondering, all of those were in quotes. I don't know. But I guess I should lock into this one. The name's Ryan Maxwell, and I am a privet dick, 20 years solving cases in the sticking rat hole that is New Jack City. Kyler's... New Jack City? Kyler's robbers, gangsters, I had send them all nothing. In this rotten world, cold shock me. But this case would be different. It would be darker and more colder than anything I had touched before. There, if you're wondering why sometimes I'm doing narration in a normal voice and sometimes I'm doing quotes, that's because sometimes the quotes are there, and sometimes they're not. There, as I sat in my officer, she walked, the dame to die for with legs longer than Uma Thurman, and boobs bigger than Lara Croft, and hair richer than that chick from Tangled. A dame like that could only mean trouble, and I was in a heap of it already.
Wait, is he doing like a noir story?
That's what it seems like. This is listed as a murder horror drama series? Mystery? Yeah. Why, of all the detective offices in the world, did she have to walk into mine? As I smoked cigarette, as she began to speak. I need help. And I scuffed. Who doesn't, lady? Why don't you try a shrink? But she was prim as rock. She knew what she wanted, and she knew how she was gonna get it. This is a different kind of problem, only one a dick can solve, she said. Yeah, and why don't you try the Coopers? I snarled, but she wouldn't listen. They don't want to hear it, and like I said, only a dick can solve this problem. I guess I had to listen, and I had to admit, but I was curious to hear what it would bring a board like her to a skunky office like mine. But what was that old saying, curiosity child the cat? And I was just about to find out true that saying is. What? I know what he was going for. He was going to find out if curiosity killed the cat, what it means, but the way he spelled that. Okay, you had me. What is the problem? And she had me, alright. Raped around her fingers. Like
Wait.
No, he wrote wrapped with one P, so it'd be raped.
Huh.
Her fingers, like a coiled snake, or a rope being pulled by an ancient Egyptian slave who building pyramids in the medieval times. Whatever it was, it had to be good. She stated speaking in the honeyed voice of hers, a voice that could sweat in the blackest coffee. But I knew these dames. The name's Jessica Stone, who's now voiced by Vampire Skunk, and I am in deep trouble, Maxwell. I work as a singer in the Cub drama. I knew that place, mafia joint onward by Don Mario, one of the cruelest and viscous mafia in Tis Rotten Apple. It is a casino, nightclub, and one of the most rotten dens in the West Coast. I was finished walking, and at backstage clearing up. That is when I saw it. Big Mario. Not Don Mario. Big Mario. And some of his wise guys playing cards, as usual. But on the table was the Dragon's Eye Jewel. Alright, I am retiring that voice, because I'm not going to be able to speak for the rest of the day at this rate. The Dragon's Eye, this case, wasn't deeper than the Marion Trench, or the bottle of whiskey I had been drank, and I only knew the half of it. The Dragon's Eye was stoled form the museum of inanimate art, in what was a sing of rubberies in this stinkin' city that cares for noting, not even priceless artifacts. But of course, nothing is priceless here. Everything had a price. Respect, love, posture, heath, family, your live, money, history, culture, even the ground you walk on, all of it is for sale, and everyone Dick and Harry is willing to pay the price. She said more. I think one of the mafia thugs sawed me, and I ran, but now I know that I have a price on my head. And I played cold the face. What? Lady, everything in this dirty town has a price on it. You had nothing new. But if only I had sept that cold hurt, 'cause even then it was stating to melt, and she knew it. She knew that she had me in her grasp, that I played the Iceman, when all I could think about was those long legs and big round breasts and silken hair. She played me like the puppet, and I was all too willing to be played. She still knew that she had to price, 'cause nothing in this vile city is free. I will pay. She spoke with that sweet, sugary voice, and I stepped up the act. What you paying, 10s? 20s? 30s? 'Cause then I am not interested. But she put the mother load on my desk. A 500,000 snackaroonies. What man alive would turn down such a payload? Why, you could live like a king for a day, and God knows I need the money, seeing as cigarettes, booze, and coke burn through paper like a spaceship's burn through coal, or the government burns through taxpayers' money. I didn't think to ask where a chick like that would get such paper. I only knew that I was brought tear, and then if her somking hot body had sold me over the cash, certainly had, and I was caught like a fish in a net or a fly in a web, and I only had myself to blame. Damn it, Al. We left the office at 9 o'clock, and the rain was coming down harder and faster than bribes on the mayor's desk. Political. It was the time of night when all the scum come out to play, and the drunks and the drug addicts and the prostitutes and the hippies and the crazed preachers and the tourists. This city is nothing but a stinking rat's den, and I was about to crawl into the dank heart of it all. There was one person I knew I had to meet to get to the bottom of the Jimmy the Rat, a mafia crook and telltale. Yes. A man so dirty, he makes the sewers look clean. And that's saying nothing about his hygiene. A man so cowardly, his own shadow hides him nightmares. But he was a damn good lead on the doings of the scum of this evil city. We met him in his usual hangout, blowing his money at strip club 2 whores on each of his arms, and a wad of monies in mouth that smoked like a cigar. I can't lie, that sight of him makes me sick to my core. I loked him in the eyes.
Jimmy, you know something about the Mafia's taste for fine artifacts.
But Jimmy's lips were tighter than pussy of a board being sweet-talked by an incel or a rollet of one of the rich quadrillionaire misers when charity do-gooders come to ask her for a payout.
Okay, that's a line.
That's a line and a half.
I don't know nothing, Ryan. You know the boss don't tell me anything like that.
I knew that... Oh, wait. I knew that he knew more, that he let, and that I had to loosen... Get the fuck back here. Who was that? Not important.
Cowabunga cummies.
Get back here. His memory, a bite.
Listen me, Jimmy. You better start talking straight, or you won't be able to walk straight no more.
I grizzled at the worm and fromped of me, and his whores ran of like cats after a flawed.
See ya later, Jimmy.
Wait, what? Who the fuck is Who's who? I don't know the main character's name. Whatever. They said, of course, like everyone else, they had no loyalty. But who would have loyalty to low life like Jimmy?
There's no need for that, Maxwell.
Maybe I... Oh, who is... Oh, so he's Maxwell's the main character. So this is the girl talking? I don't know. And Jimmy eyed her up... Jimmy eyed her up like a fat man eyes up a freshly baked pie, or a weeb eyes up a half-priced hentai Blu-ray. Wow, this is some good writing. But then he realized who it was he was eyeing and said, "Oh no, Maxwell, this broad's bad news. If the boss knows she's been here, then I'm a dead man." And just like that, the cock ratch had revealed his guilt. So I slammed his agents on the wall.
How did you know that I think Mario didn't tell you stuff like that?
And the wheels squirmed like a fish in a dessert.
Ease off, Maxwell. He just told me to be careful of her, that's all.
But I was not letting of. I was like a bloodhound, pursing a fox. Or in this case, a rarebit.
You take me for a fool, Jimmy? I don't believe that for one sec.
And then Jimmy spilled the beans like a fat clown on a tight rope. I'm loving the fucking similes and metaphors here. They're great. The mand, there's quotes around mand, spoke, spying what he knew.
Okay, okay. I will tell you that they're planning to hit all the natural history mussum and Big Dixon's involved. They plan to steal the frozen Iceman.
The Slim Bull screamed. Big Dixon. That was a name that I had not heard since a long Tim. He was a psychopath. Evan by Mafia standard. 9 foot tall, one eye green, the other red. A scar across his left head. Wears an eye patch. And hairier than a Bigfoot, but with the mark of the devil on his head. But I think that he had been locked up for several murders. The night of the robbery, the Berard, then I came into the museum, and I was on the lockout for the madman, the Dame Cam, and a full prof Discosi. Damn, she is one step ahead. She told me that she wanted to splode up and search the Musum separately, and I agreed. You have no idea how many typos there are. I mean, you probably do because you're used to this too. The Mafia cold be trying all kinds of tricks on this one. I walked up to the Forzen caveman that stopped preserved in the museum, and eyed it. Was things as croaked in his Tim? Did they have dirty cops and proked pollutions and word that never sleeps or cares? Who could say? But hat was when it happened. I sawed a Mafia goon seating on the alarms and looking for the stairwell, and he fired something that set off the alarms. I gave chase and ran after him, but then the power was cut, and we fought in the dark. I took him down, but it was too late. By the time the power was destroyed, the Iceman was gone. Big Dixon must have taken it. So this is now a museum heist, if you haven't been keeping up. Then I saw the Dame. Stop calling her the Dame, she has a name.
It's a noir.
Yeah, I know, so that's why he's narrating it like that. She looked scared. I was almost killed the Mafia, now I am here. As much as I would like to keep giving you help with the investigation, you've got to find somewhere for me to hid out. And I agreed. It's a running gag. There was one pace that I knew of. War. No one would be about to find her. An old Roman fort from the 3rd century BC. It had a very tall tower, but no one went there because it was surrendered to be haunted. Even drug pushers and hobos avoid the pulse. None until right mid would statty there, but that's where I left her, as it's the one pulse where the Mafia would not think to lock. It was like in the fairy tale of Snow White in the Tower, or was the Cinderella, or Sleeping Beauty. What did it make her? Life is no fairy tale, and the only sleepy beauties we get in this city are sleep with anything beauties. Ag. But I still can't you with the case, and I had my AC in the hole. That was Laurie O'Cready, the maker of the Secre system and inventor of cybergenetics. I had to find out how the mob got thought those systems so easily. They had passed it like a water thocht a straw. I think he meant like water passing a straw. I wanted to know why. The true, I would find out, would be less than wanted. Larry O'Crondy had been admitted to the New Jack City Asylum for the mentally bewildered. So, on a snowy September morning, I faced him in his cell. The Gothic gates of that castle where the asylum lay were surrounded by giant walls that would make the walls of Trump or Babylon or Rome or Berlin or France look like a sandcastle.
Who the fuck are the walls of France?
The walls of France. Maybe he's going for an Eiffel Tower in terms of scale?
No.
I entered. Was met with white cots and drooling loonies. This place where the city dumped all its unweighted pebble, either that or prisons. This was madhouse. But I wondered to myself if the real madhouse was here or out in the city itself, in the government, or in the police department, or in the clubs, or in the street. The whole world was madder than a March hare, and I knew it, cause I had lived and worked in this insane city. There I saw him in his cell, sat on his bed. Lorio Carandi, the grit scientist and genius, now spent his time staring in space with a dumb simile on his face. His great brain, now about as valuable as furry porn on DeviantArt. Okay. One of 10 nurses told me that he had long since stopped caring about those silly inventions he did as a sane man, and he barely have any of the old material in storage. But I was in luck. They managed to find something of his, and it was the invention that I was given was of blueprints to the half-completed security system. Now I had the complete Dyson. I had to take it to one of the scientists for hire in the city to find out how the mod got past the security systems. On that day, I entered a steamy sorted basement of one of those creeps. I didn't leak it, but some days you had to go on underground to take out the underground. The room was papers with naked anime models, and a Twitch stream was playing in the background. I wonder who could live in this dark den. What kind of slime ball would choose to live such a live?
Please come.
Sleescum. That's when I saw him. Fat Gary. They called him a expert in hacking and code breaking and minesweeper. Oh, great. Wow. Take me back to my Windows X97 days. He would hack into a security system for any price and break any zip file code. And he holds an underground Minesweeper Twitch streams on Furday streams, OS Underground, that even the moderators don't know about them. He's a secret Twitch streamer, if you didn't catch that. He plays Minesweeper all day.
That's great.
The man himself is about 5 foot tall and has a face so freckled and spotted that it would make Le Pored lock like a sheet of paper. He was also so obs that he would make a lock like it was on a diet. Yeah. I'm just as bewildered as you are. In short, he locked like Mr. Blobby. Wait, or maybe he was Mr. Blobby. I don't care either way.
What the fuck?
The scum looked at me and spoke, or whatever Jabba the Hutt sounds like on a bad day, cause that is what he sounds like. Oh great, I don't want to do a Jabba voice.
Dan Schneider, you damn Schneider.
Okay. And I spoke no words, and just haunted the creep the plans, and he understood the lang of the underground is silent one. I don't know who's talking here. I'm gonna assume it's that guy.
This is gonna cost you big.
But I knew how to twisted his arm. Listen here, creep. You're gonna tell me what I want to know, or I will report your operation to Twitch monitors. And he melted like Booter that has been left out in the sun too long.
Okay, I'll give you that price, but no less than that.
And I paid just like we all pay the price in this damned city. He told me that it would be done by Tuesday. So, there I was, no real leads, and my trust placed in one of the city's lowlives. But then thing would take a turn for the more dynamic. As I sat at my desk, in comes a mafia goon. He a tall, short man. Wait, it gets better. Who was fat with a slim build.
Fuck off!
And was clean shaven with a goatee.
Ah, damn it!
And was bald with long hair. It's time to die, Maxwell. He was the words he cried as he pulled out a Tommy gun, and it shot all everywhere. Luckily, I ducked and avoided being killed. Then I pulled a fast one. I rolled across the floor like a wagon wheel and grabbed my pistol, formed the volt, and shot like a man, posed at the mafia goon, and using my desk as cover, I fired at him. We must have fired more shots at each over than was shot in World War II. It was moments like this, when your heart is racing in your mouth, when you know that a split second's mistake could be the end of your live, and ending with you 10 feet under with only a few clates. Mafia connections, don't ask, that's really how that was written. And widows to mourn you. A few of the city bigwigs to make some false condescences. And the scum of the city and mafia bosses to luff at your death. No, I do not want that to be my end. And I will not let that be my end. So, I shot, and it was like that hand of fate guided my bullet, and shot the goon strict in the head, And he is deed. Deeder than MySpace or the morality of this damned city. I searched the goon's body for clues, and I found a card with writing on it, the Demand Hands. But the Demand Hands was a casino owned by Loogie Moneybags Carbone, who was the Dawn of the Carbone family, who were rivals of the Mario clan. How could they both be mixed up in this? I asked my sleeve. But there was one way I was going to find out, and tat is with my contract Frankie the Fish. There's a lot more, by the way. I walked along the streets, I'm not editing this, to meet my contact. The streets laid if the usual flith. I walked past some deranged preacher ranting about to end of the world, and I say to him, "Look around, you old man! It is too late! No God is going to save us! This city's already dead!" Then a prostitute came up to me and said, "Hey there, looking for a good time?" And I said, "I would not spend my time with thoughts like you!" But I knew I had before, but now is different. But then some bum axes me for change. But I knew the only change was to change the whole darned city. Then some hippie is protesting me the American war in Iceland. But I had no Tim for Potchlicks. He would be just as corrupt as the other pen pusher if he was in charge. Then I was at the meeting point. I met Frankie the Fish. It was a mistake to do this without water. Besides a speed railway line. And despite his name, Frankie is a no-nonsense guy. The kind of man who gives it to you strict and honest screw round. The kind of man who dost go for PR. And the kind of person who you can rely on to give you the facts straight down. And the kind of man who always bitch straight and wins big. Frankie gave me a serious look. The kind of look that says, this is serious, more hard-hitting and serious than anything before. And spoke, "Maxwell, this is bigger than you think. But if you wanted to know more, you gotta pay." And I replied, "I think, grasp this by now, Frankie. The mob's not usually the artifact heist this big." And Frankie, "There is much more." So I paid the blood money, and Frankie gave his usual to the point response. "This goes higher than the mob, Maxwell, the mayor, the zillionaires, the FBI, and may even the president himself. All I knows is what we've been getting some big moans to pull off heists, and that he would not usually look twice at, and the same with Mario's gang too. If anything, I think someone paying us both." I was thinking he was right, but who? The mayor was a fat burb, taking Dame a bozing slimble with a taste for luxury. He could be doing, he could, my sinuses, take bribes, form the mafia every day. After ale, he was so be picture perfect. Then billionaires, and zillionaires, and trillionaires.
Shut the fuck!
Who did not give a damn about the city and only cared about making more monies while causing as much pollution and crime as possible. It wouldn't fit one of them like my glove.
80s villains.
But what about the president? Maybe after the fat cats in Washington wanted to get some of the wealth of the city and sit in the Capitol away from the crim, or maybe they're hoping the gangs will get the big for the boots and expose themselves with these robberies. This Messiah had more suspects than a game of Guess Who. Oh my god, how much is left? Oh.
Is this the original Cyberpunk?
This is exactly how Cyberpunk plays out. It was that time that Frankie the Fish made another offer. "I can arrange a meeting with the boss and he could discuss things with you." But I wasn't taking this. "You boss sent someone to kill me in my office. How do I know I am not walking into D-Trip?" And Frankie assured me that it would be a meeting on open ground, and he not hard of any hits put on me, and I bored it all after Frankie the Fish was always strict. So it was then at 7 o'clock at night the next day that I was met by a mafia escort outside my officer, and for a moment I think that Frankie had finally set me up. "You're gonna come with us, and no questions or else." I thought that was them talking to him, I don't know. There was no way I could tag on that many guys. And so, they put a bag over my head and marched me into a car. For several antagonizing minshers, I was driven at mafia goons, pointing Tommy guns to my head. It was marched into a building, and think that my last hours had come, and Terry took at the bag, and I was right in front of Loogie Moneybagus Core Bone himself. Yes, he did misspell the guy's name from earlier. He was a big, intimidating, but it to wear that made you almost think he was respectable. Well, no less respectable than the crocs who run this city. I always had to admit that the Mafrera was at least open about their crimes. He wore a fur coat over a business suit, a fedora on his head, and pinstriped leggings. The man had style, I give him that.
Basically, Robbie Rotten.
Oh, jeez. Please accept my humblest apology for the way you've been treated by my fellow associates, but I can't risk anyone knowing that you have just walked into one of the clubs, or that any of its information has passed to a private dick. He offered me a drink, but refused. I only wanted to get to the bottom of this case, so I refused. Please, I have no reason to poison you. In fact, we net you a life. And I would also like to offer you a drink as a personal favor of taking out that hitman who drove by your office. I still didn't dink, and countered, "Didn't you send that ass in to listen to me?" But he had all the cards and knew the facts. That man was Daniel the Dagger, a freelance hitman known with Saint. He may look up like one of our boys that did it, and is the true of Mario's gang. Someone is trying to play the families for fools, but we don't take kindly for being messed around like this. But I played it cool, not wanting to show weakness to the mobs. That's Ruth, but what does that have to do with me? And Loogie was not playing bail. Look, Maswell, you are under my roof. Show some fucking respect. I added the fuck in there, that wasn't in there. Besides, this ties you into the case, and who is ever pulling these hits might come for your gain or your lady friend. Damn, they knew about Jessica. But did they know where she is, and is really them who is trying to kill her? We can give you some info about the case. The Mario family are planning to hit the Privet Diz in Museum at 9. Don Loogie told me, but I was skeptical. Why would you tell me something like this? And Don Loogie made it clear as crystal, or as clear as the water in the fish tank behind him. If we investigate, it will come down on an organization, but if we send the private dick who will know the difference. That made sense. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And then I had my drink and talk more business with Da Don. You have to enjoy some perks of the job. So then I agreed to plan criminal, or not it would get results. They say that crime does pay, but that's a lie. A big one at that every moment in this stinking city is one where you understand that crime does pay. Oh, we're almost at the end. So there was one more thing for me to do, and that is call on Fat Gary and find out what evidence he has found, as every bit of it would help in this case. So I arrived at his underground lab building, but just as I was heading near there was a deafening bang, like the Titans had come back, or a god had infly come to purge the world of the signers. But it was Fat Gary's place being blown to Kingdom Come. Yes, that's how he spelled it. He had swept his last mine, and the Mafia or whoever is behind this killing, the Rubbiers offered him as well. Damn it, Al. You know, he can't spell all, though. So I don't know who this Al guy is that he hates so much. There was one last thing that stirred the wreckage, and it provided me with the answer I looked for. The note said, "The series Sepsis were hacked using might probes, but those were another inversion of Larry O. Capandi, who would get access to this inventions are no more." What? Well, he claimed that the note said that, so I don't know why he was narrating. I needed another lead, and I would find Excuse me. The one getaway car driving at high speed to get away with the mother the just pulled of. I jumped in my car and drove them after at high speeds. Not gniv any car to traffic laws. I just had to get the ones who did this. The over car. I keep saying over, but it's over. Whatever. No, that's over. Fuck, I said it right for once. Tried to lose me by chucking bombs at me and mines and reverse missiles. But I had to gear to avoid them and take down the attacks. What the fuck does this have to do with Cyberpunk? Soon, the other car arrived at a meat factory. And some mafia goons arrived to begin me and a shot out occurred, cuz they were trying to take the factory as well. I snuck in, and there in the middle of the floor was Bick Dixon, dead hung like a horse in a glue factory, or in this case, a meat factory. There was a nonth dead and... oh, like dead end. The only lead I had was this heist that was coming to the Dyson Museum tonight, and I had to be there soon. So I left the gangs to tear game of toy songlers. I had to big case to flower. Your guess is as good as mine. I had to get to the bone of this case, but the depper I locked, the more questions I had. But then it hits. I wondered what the browered Jessica Stone who hired me was doing, and if they had gone to her as well. So I drove up to the Roman Tower where I left her, and turned, but there was no sign. Either she is dead, or she wandered of. Either way, I had to find the truth. And the truth was at the Mosian Museum tonight. Spoilers, I'm guessing she's the villain. Then it was tonight. Great. And I arrived on time. The mob made a key that I could use to let my slef in, and a flash identity of a survey of artifacts. The Masian Museum is at the top of the Engel Tower, which is over 9 miles high. Don't think about that. I took the express lift and arrived at the top and stood, waiting for whoever was behind this to arrive. Then some goons were already here, and a shot out took place. I was taking shelter behind an actor and shotting at them, and they were shotting back. Soon I talked them out. It was easy, almost too easy. Something was not right. But then I heard screaming from the altar of sacrifice. Okay, we're just gonna introduce that. Which was preserved from the medieval times and used to belong to the evil knight who sacrificed virgins on it to the god of Evie. You forgot an L there. I came ruining and saw Jessica Stone on the altar and a rare gem placed between her legs. Oh, really? How convenient. And masked figure about to suffice her. So, I pulled out my revolver and he yelled, "No, wait, not shoot." But I was bent on saving the girl, so I fired 10 shots into him and he fell. And when I took off his mask, it was Master Dajin himself. I guess he was trying to complete his own collection. Was holding some kind of cult meetings here. I swear we're near the end. I really should have screen shared to give you a reference. I untied Jessica, and she got up. I picked up the gem that was left here. It was Alphonse's eye on the rarest gem of them all. And I was about to put it on its stand when I heard Jessica's voice. "Hand it over, Demon Maxwell." And I found she had a gun pointed at me. "Jessica, you set me up! You dames are all the same!" And she loothed. "So, are you Dix? And my name was never Jessica. It is Jennifer. Jennifer Steele." Of course. Of course what?
Yes!
Of course!
Of course.
I should have known!
Obviously.
Jennifer Steele, the rich woman industrialist and zillionaire and owner of Al the Steelworks in the city. Yeah, I guess it is pretty obvious when you say that, huh? She was behind all this, and she played me, the mafia, the police, and more, all like puppets in her sick and twisted game. I knew the dame was trouble the moment she walked in my office, sir. And cold CY.
Ah, he said it. He said it.
But Tara was stick some things that didn't add up. And I had to know, so I asked her as I handed over the gem.
Why did you do it? You have all the money to buy all of this stuff. Why steal it?
And she smiled. I'm not the only richest woman in the world. That's what richest in the world means. It means you're the only one.
I could be richer.
I am also a master thief, and I run all the thieves in the city. There's no thrill in just buying things. Stealing is 10 times the challenge and thrill. But Tara was still not adding up.
Why the museum owner try to sacrifice you and steal these items?
I had to know, but she still brushed of it. He was a part of the evil cult. Of course he would do something like that, and these items are rare and valuable. But I had already figured out the real reason. Oh, really? Did you? Because I didn't.
It was to break the ancient Aztec curse, wasn't it?
And I had hit bingo. Yes.
Is this the mystery? Is this what he was like investigating?
Yeah, this is.
Wow.
It was all a virgin cult medieval ritual to break an Aztec curse or something with a gem. I don't know. My brain checked out 5 miles back. I was cursed, and so is this planet. If I don't perform the ritual, the world will explode because of the curse, she said. But I also did it for the thrill of the theft, because it was I who stated the curse by stealing the gold eye from the museum in New Paris. So, let me get this straight. She got rid of the curse that she herself started because she was bored and stole something. Okay. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay.
Did you Lowe's kill Big Dixon, Fat Gary, and the others?
I asked, knowing the answer already. Yes. And now I will have to deal with you as well. But don't feel bad. You're not frustrated that I betrayed. Lario Crepandi lost his minds. Kuzi I double crossed him in New Paris. She pulled the gun and shot me, and she got away. This is a very anticlimactic ending. I was left terror for dead. Belving, I was deed. But, luckily, the cigar case I had in my coast stopped the bolt, and so I lived. And not I am, here again, in my officer, with no payment for the job, apart from the money from the mob, and here I am again, swagging whiskey and smoking cigars, waiting for my next case in the stinking city. I lock out the window, and wish the growed code swallow this filthy hole, but that would never happen. The idle peds walking past, not knowing the corruption that surrounded them. I goose I could look more into the Prostu murder case. As I picked up my files, the door opened again. The Finn? Question mark. Oh boy! If you think I'm editing this, you are solely mistaken. This was a 43-minute recording, and it's still going.
Everyone,
Oh my god.
a round of applause.
You did it again, Jack.
You did the thing. Yay.
I no longer have to play Cyberpunk, because I already know the backstory and how it ends.
Yeah,
It's the game broken.
That's
but the
it.
script's good.
Well, guys, thank you for watching.
Can I just say, like, what this was, besides being nonsense? This is just a noir story. Specifically, he watched Chinatown, and he thought that's what Cyberpunk was.
He played Chinatown Wars for the Nintendo DS and said,
I could do it better than Dick Tracy.
Yep.
well,
He followed the trope, though. He followed a lot of the noir trope.
Of course, he had all the linguistics in there. He's got all. I love all the like facsimiles and all like the things he keeps doing. Like,
It's like a fish that had been flopping out of the sea.
The fat clown fell off the side road.
the fat guy who's also slim, who's also bald, who also has long hair. It's like, okay, I get it. Thank you.
That scene. I mean, I loved that scene. That was actually pretty well written.
That was probably the scene. But he just self-inserted himself in Jack City in the year 2076.
I'd like to correct you.
He put Cyberpunk in a PS3.
Excuse me. He specifically said New Jack City. It has nothing to do with Jack City.
Yeah, it's New Jack City.
I assume he named it after himself, but it was also doubled as a reference, so good on him there.
My favorite character was Daniel the Dagger. How about you?
Mine is Mr. Dashin, who existed to be killed. I don't remember doing anything.
I don't remember any of the names.
Yeah, a lot of it was nuts.
Alright, gamers. Well, thank you again. We will not be reading part 2 if it exists. I will be on my own time, but if you think I'm reading that again, no. We're going back to Zelda versus Terminator, where we're in our safe
If you don't
zone.
read the next part, I'm going to take down this channel. I will fucking delete it.